Let's get to studio, back to studio, and hear from Mr. Barassa Mikel himself. Welcome to set.
Thank you very much.
How are you?
I'm so good.
Yeah? You are so good.
I'm so good.
Some people are good, but you're saying you're so good, so and your shirt can confirm that as a means of checking that what you're saying is correct there. Welcome to the show. Now, before we get into what is spread here on the dailies, I'm going to allow you, of course, to introduce yourself. I understand you're part of the debate society, the large debate is the debate society. I'm not going to call it a debate club because I know people will, try and diminish the intensity of what conversations or kind of conversations you guys hold at the debate club. But I'm going to let you, of course, introduce to us what you do over there, just briefly, and also into yourself. And then we get to see what your thoughts are, whether there's good coverage here, and what you can expect into the next few days.
Well, thank you very much. I am Barassa Mikel from Kenyatta University. I'm a third year student taking biochemistry, so I'm a biochemist. Well, besides that, I do debating. Well, I don't do debates, but I'm a judge in the debating society. Well, at the Kenyatta University Debating and Public Speaking Society, we basically do the debating part and the public speaking part in different matters that are arising, the trends, the IR, the trade, the international relations, the climate change, everything that requires our thoughts and our ways of thinking. So that's what we basically do. And before I forget, Kenya will be hosting one of the biggest tournament, Pan-African University Debate Championship, that's set to happen from 8th to around 15th. It will be hosted in Strathmore University.
Pan-African Championship.
Yeah, it's a debate championship. It's like a tournament. The way you people have hockey tournaments, football tournaments, we also have. You see, debate. It's a sport. It's a sport itself.
Okay.
Yeah,
you trade, thoughts and see
and that's how we fight using the brains. Thoughts. Yeah.
Verbal fight.
Yeah.
I'm hoping all good language.
Yeah, definitely. We make you feel low using our language.
There's a way to frame.
Yeah, there's always frame. Like for instance, there's one man who said that the Prime Minister looked so intelligent until he spoke.
Oh, all right. So those are some of those ways in which you can be aggressive without being insulting.
Without being insultive.
That's great. I don't know if I will survive in the debate club because
you can try.
Because my best references are Mindo na Kusho, Ona Huyu, and such things. But we'll get into more of the debate club later. Let me know from the headlines that we've read there. The Business Daily, the Standard, and the Daily Nation. Which is your favorite? And then to turns up, and you tell me whether you feel like there's good coverage, or if it's not, how better you think they will have done it.
My favorite is the security story in Nairobi.
Yeah. Which is covered by the Standard, by the way.
Yeah, it's covered by the Standard and the Daily Nation.
But it's the headline here on the Standard: criminals run riot as security chiefs talk tough.
Yeah. What Kithure Kindiki is saying that, okay, he's coming for them. And what they just appointed Koome says that he's given them a month to give out their arms, their firearms. Well, according to me, I think Kenya as a country, we are facing tough times. And we are facing difficulty in terms of our economy. Everything, the cost of everything is risen. And maybe that can be an excuse for this, the gangs, to maybe move out of their way, out of their normal ways of living, and come and start ambushing people so that they can take what's not theirs.
Right.
Well, I think this should not be an excuse, because just because we are living at hard times, it shouldn't be an excuse that now let's go and rob people because we cannot be able to afford.
It's interesting you say that, because also Governor Sakaja will agree with you wholeheartedly here on the Standard. That is page 6 of that story. He's saying that not having the Hustler Fund program does not earn you a ticket to become a thug.
Sure, it shouldn't be a ticket for you to go and now rob people. That shouldn't be the case. Struggle as other people are struggling, because it's not only on your case. All of us are facing these difficult times. So it shouldn't be a leeway for you to go out and rob people. in broad daylight, in archives, it's not safe. People are there, but it's not so safe for you. Somebody just comes and one thing I've noticed is that these people are learned because maybe they don't want to kill you, but they're just immobilizing you. They're knocking you at some parts of the body. You'll get immobile, and then they'll take your things.
Yeah, true. Because if you say, as you say, they are learned people. They are people who know what they are doing.
Yeah.
And I don't know at what point we got to from what Governor Sakaja, that is Nairobi County Governor Johnson Sakaja, says here, is saying that there's a couple of these youth who are calling and texting him to say that they have firearms, and he's asking them, he's giving them a month to surrender those before, of course, they take action. Now, at what point did we get to a situation in which criminals could easily text and call the governor and say, hey, I have a firearm here? Is it that bad in the economy such that now even criminals do not prefer to continue committing crime? They would like to get economic relief from the governor before they can go on with the rest of their business.
Well, I think first, before you get a licensed firearm, then I think you must be having some network. You want to protect your network, so you're feeling insecure, maybe because I'm rich, these people might come and rob me, so I have to be secure. That's why I think you should be having a firearm. But just common people having a firearm, then it means you might have gotten it from a wrong way. So I think basically what Kwame is saying is that these criminal gangs with firearms, because definitely they got them from a wrong means, then they should return them.
So therefore, what I'm getting there, then the issue is not really that there's firearms in the hands of common mwananchi, is that there are systems which are not in check that are enabling the firearms to get there.
Yeah.
So,
and actually these systems should be closed.
Right.
They should look into a way in which they can close this system, so that, you see, security matters a lot. At a point in time where university students are not safe, Strathmore universities are not safe, USIU students are not safe because they are afraid. You see, somebody just comes and tells you, hey, don't move. I need the laptop back. What will you do? I mean, you cannot tell whether it's a piece of food on your head or it's just a gun. So you just have to give it anyway because your life matters.
Right. So this is also actually, the rise of reporting as well in the insecurity, in issues of insecurity, is also promoting or prompting others to join in and scare, even if they will not be actually having some of those firearms. And here I see that in closed door meetings, before maybe I get to some of the remarks which I've made by security personnel, they are holding a couple of meetings, press conferences, giving criminal gangs a month. We've seen in the regions in where there's cattle rustling and inter-community fights in places in the northern Kenya like Turkana and Samburu, being given a leeway, giving a timeline to surrender their firearms, and in Nairobi up to a month. Is this how we are treating? Are we negotiating with terrorists? We are telling them you have a month. They can call the governor and no action is taken in tracing back who's making the calls, who's making the texts. We are doing press conferences, closed door meetings, warning them. Is that how security is handled? What happens in that month now, between now and the month in which I'm expecting them to surrender their firearms? Should I not be going to the CBD?
I think what I can say as a student, we normally do things at the rush hour. Now that they have been given a month, they will
do that in the last day.
Yeah, no, not in the last. Okay, they will make sure they are doing a lot of gangs. They're doing a lot of robbing in this period that they've been given, so that during the last day, maybe before they are ambushed, they can surrender the weapons. You see, naturally they'll think that, but I don't think that's a good way that we are negotiating with terrorists. I mean, it's not good. Well, that's a short. We are expecting that the government should come up with. Let them ambush them, because they are negotiating with terrorists, and we as Kenyans are suffering. Kenyans are suffering,
right?
Yeah, a lot. You see, you cannot. I mean, you cannot walk and say that now that I'm in Nairobi, there are a lot of people, I'm so safe. People don't care. And in Nairobi, people always mind their business. They always not mind their business, so they won't help you. So it's just the government to help us.
What about the security personnel that is there in the Nairobi? Let's just speak about Nairobi before we go to other regions. The security personnel in the CBD, right?
Yeah.
That is supposedly being law enforcement, who are law enforcement officers on a day-to-day basis. But what we know is, personally, as a victim of police harassment in the CBD, I have been harassed more than I've been helped by police officers. So are they being complacent in that maybe hustlers are being harassed on the streets, but the top management, the government, the people who are supposed to take care of hustlers have not yet been affected, and therefore we're not seeing any reforms. Yes, there's no urgency, just press conferences and meetings behind closed doors. Or am I being too harsh to the government? You could correct me also.
No, I think on a personal level, I don't think whether people are always so harassed by the police. I think when you're on the wrong side, definitely that's when you'll think that you're being harassed. And when you're on the wrong side of the law, then that's not being harassed. I think you're just being held accountable for what you're doing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, of your menace. And I mean, it's not that the government is harassing you or the people in the government are harassing you. No, it's not that way.
All right. Yeah. So that is what you can read on page 6. Criminals run riot as security chiefs talk tough. Those boys who have dared the government have been told to, or who have dared the government that they're taking over the city, have been told that they have been heard. And this is Kithure Kindiki saying that they are coming for them effectively and to deal with them immediately. CS Kithure Kindiki immediately was 3 weeks ago. We are too late. We are 3 weeks late past immediately. So I'm hoping that is going to be effected soon as possible.
And maybe on a long-term effect. Okay, you see, this is just a short-term effect that they will come for them. When they storm Nairobi, definitely they know that the men in blue are in Nairobi, so we cannot earn a living from here. Let's go somewhere else. What about the other place?
We chase them all across the country until we feel border.
You see now that's the problem. Kenyans will still suffer. Whether you're from Nairobi or maybe Lakisama, they'll now go to Lakisama or Dandora now that Nairobi is not a good place for them. So what should be the long-term effect? I think maybe it's just that these people don't have jobs, and that's our problem right now.
So we should be checking at other issues which are the result, which this is a result
resulting
of.
To, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So maybe creating jobs, and maybe these youths themselves being creative. I mean, they should be creative and try and get something to do to.
Right.
Yeah.
Youth empowerment and inclusivity is also a conversation we're going to hold a bit later. So make sure you're tuning in for that side. Now, let's just maybe look at the Daily Nation as well. The headlines, to be PTA headlines, and then we can pick something else that is in there. Here on the Daily Nation, place junior high in primary, says parents. Of course, that education reform, which is supposed to be happening, even as the Presidential Working Party on Education Reforms indicates that the place of junior secondary schools is a major bone of contention. Opinions are split on the issues, where parents also on one side are saying that they need to keep this in primary school, and also there's a strong push to reverse the Jubilee administration's decision that domiciled it in secondary school, instead have it in primary schools. Page 7 is where you get the detailed report there on what has been happening in trying to reform. The proposals at a glance, you can find them there on page 7. Presenters telling reforms team that learners' young age and lack of infrastructure makes secondary schools unsuitable to have these young kids all over the secondary schools. Of course, this is a very important discussion and engagement on CBC that has been a contention since the past regime, the Jubilee administration, and now pouring into the Kenya Kwanza administration. Next year, the school calendar is going back to normal, where we have the 3 terms in a year, beginning from January as the first term, and also getting back to April when the second term begins. Kawaida kama vile ilikuwa before that, to avoid that confusion which has been happening since COVID-19. So you can have a look there on some of those submissions which have happened, and there also on the front of the Daily Nation, a story which is developing has been a conversation recently stemming from the weekend to now, spread on page 4 and page 5 of the Daily Nation. Mika, there's a new push to create 5 more counties, yeah? And we've been saying before that we have too many women reps, we have too many senators, we have too many MCAs, but now there's a push to have more counties, and it means with 5 more counties, we have 5 more members of the Senate, we have 5 more women representatives, and we have more, members of parliament as well, because 5 counties are coming with more divisions in terms of constituencies. Are these members of parliament, first of all, are they right to do this? Because the reason which has been given out is to creating new ways in which the rights of marginalized communities can be protected. Is this the best way to do it?
If they are right, no. But their excuse is right, but they are not right. Well,
so they're using the wrong reason.
They're using the right reason.
They're using it for the wrong for the wrong purposes.
For the wrong purposes. Okay. You see, if you are the MP there and you know very well that they are marginalized, what are you doing to make sure that they are not marginalized anymore? What are you doing from your docket to help them? You see, if you want to create, as they are saying, they want to create more counties, then that means that we are going to have we are going to spend a lot in terms of the workers there, the civil servants there, the civil servants. Then it means that they're going to increase. It as well means that they are going to be paid, and what money are we going to use to pay them? So what I think is that the government, the counties are always allocated a lot of money, and some instances you always realize that some money, some amount of cash is always returned back to the treasury. Then what I should suggest is that instead of creating this county, creating more these five counties, I'd rather you go out to these marginalized communities and try and help them from there. And
create a fund for marginalized communities.
Yeah, because I understand that most of them are from remote areas. Then it means that you should...
And most of these counties are in the western region. I'm seeing here Busia, Bungoma, and Trans Nzoia, Migori as well, and Kitui County, Baringo, and West Pokot. Those are actually all the counties which are affected. Mount Elgon, that is from Bungoma and Trans Nzoia. Teso is going to be a county taken off from Busia County. Kuria to be a new county from Migori County. Mwingi to be a new county taken from a part of Kitui County. East Pokot, a new county taken from bits of Baringo and West Pokot counties.
You don't run away from your problem. You try and solve them. Now that it's in your county, don't make them be separated.
Don't divide the problem and hand it over to someone else.
Solve the problem. Right. You've been given the mandate.
One of the other implications of if this becomes quite a thing, remember the Constitution of Kenya 2021, the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill 2021 proposed the creation of a new Mwingi County, which is also one of those counties which are mentioned here in the 5 new counties. And similar to what the new bill envisages, it was suggesting that the 2 lawmakers could work together. Now, according to, since those changes happened in 2021, the objectives, since these changes of counties affect the objectives, principles, and structures of devolved governments, the proposed amendment of the constitutions, beside getting or needing parliamentary approval, must be approved by a referendum. So we have to go to a referendum if at least 20% of the registered voters in each of half of the counties vote in the referendum, and the amendment is supported by a simple majority of the citizens, and therefore we get these 5 counties. If this bill, because now there are new regulations in Parliament where to introduce a bill of such legislation in Parliament, a lawmaker needs to get about 50 signatures from the rest of the members of Parliament. If this is tabled in Parliament, we are going to wait for the approval of Parliament and then go through a referendum. This is also more money being spent
at a time in history where Kenyans are suffering due to high cost of living.
Right.
Does it make any sense?
It doesn't make any sense, and I think we might have made a couple of mistakes here, considering that also these are the same members of Parliament who are debating the CDF. Do they have
I think they're only focusing on where they're gaining more than we as Kenyans are gaining. So
there's, as you said earlier, this is the right reason being used for the wrong outcomes.
Yeah.
So they are saying marginalized communities needs to be taken care of. We need 5 more counties. However, maybe as a way of them getting another pot to pinch from.
To tap.
CDF was was declared illegal by the courts before this new parliament came in, and now they're trying to get it back and saying that they will panel beat the regulations, they panel beat the proposals of CDF to fit within what is in the constitution, saying that it's a means to help mwananchi. Labda MPs wanatufikiria this time.
Not really. That's the only point. That's the only time when you will see the Azimio coalition and the Kenya Kwanza's MPs becoming one, because they are going to gain more. Actually, these are not they are going to tap in from this CDF than the common mwananchi is going to benefit. So
100 million Kenyan shillings actually is the amount of money which was allocated to every single, averagely to every single constituency. 100 million Kenyan shillings annually in CDF. How many CDF projects have you seen around your constituency?
Well, I'm from Naivasha. I wouldn't say.
Would you say that CDF has been used well in your but let's not say your constituency, because your MP might be watching and say it's vendetta. Let's say across other constituencies, generally speaking. Is CDF, maybe we might, there's benefits which have risen out of CDF. I know primary schools which have been constructed in my constituency, students who've been taken school, water tanks which have been put up, a bit of development here and there. Is it all bad?
I would say that some of these MPs are trying. The likes of Babu is actually doing a great job. The likes of my own MP, Honorable Jane Kihara, she's doing a good job with this money. I've seen schools being constructed. I've seen refrigerators for like fish in Naivasha being done
for small businesses, right?
Yeah, for small businesses. I've seen markets in Naivasha being created for people. I mean, she's doing a good job. I wouldn't say that she's doing a bad job, but for 100 million, she should have.
Maybe we need to get a way to keep CDF disbursement and allocation and expenditure. We need to get more accountable channels in a way that if this money is allocated, as we've seen, there's benefits that are rising from it. It's important to also get someone to keep the members of parliament in check and ensure that it's all well taken care of.
And I think most people who are benefiting are mostly students in campus, because they're receiving most of these funds. Yeah,
right.
Supporting them, yeah.
CDF and also those 5 new counties, a conversation and also a report on page 4 and 5 of the Daily Nation. I'm sure you will be able to get it squeezed in there somewhere in the Standard. The Business Daily, Treasury is seeking KQ sale to foreign strategic investors, and this is their hope will be a foreign airline. A strategic investor in a foreign airline will help them with expertise in carrying aviation issues, the national carrier, to make a turnaround and stop the reliance for operational cash and bailouts from the state. This is the top story on the Business Daily, continued on page 2, and this is coming just a week after there was that stalemate between pilots and the management at KQ. We've seen KQ, we've seen KPLC, we've seen Mumias Sugar, some of those state parastatals, I would call them, that have been sinking taxpayers' money in bailouts. What will be your best suggestion, Mika, in trying to make a turnaround in Kenya Airways, profit-making business that turned to losses after the COVID-19 pandemic hit? The pride of Africa, it's not making returns anymore, it's not paying its workers, and we are spending more taxpayer money into it, and now the government no longer wants to fund it. What can they do at this point?
At this point of history, at this point in time, I think what they can do is actually what they have suggested. One person to own it, or rather one person to have a bigger share. Then it means that he will have a bigger say in trying to bring the KQ back to its spot. You see, for a long time, KQ has been making a lot of losses. So I think that this to bring in new management and bring in new laws for the KQ, so that they can be able to stand and be able to, you see, it's a shame to the government as a whole. I mean, KQ,
right,
our own pride, we are not being proud of it anymore.
Maybe they should also explore other, profit-making businesses, as was suggested by the CS Kipchumba Murkomen. Drone services I think that will be important to offer, and also other services that can be offered in the aviation sector. So KQ is looking for a foreign strategic investor. If you are one of those, please do lend them a hand. One other person who's getting a hand or being given a lending, being lent a hand there is the common taxpayer. And I've been told to stop calling Kenyans common. Personally, I do not like being called a taxpayer. I feel like I am more of a citizen. I am a taxpayer, Kerry, but I am more of a citizen than I am a taxpayer. So refer me to as a citizen. So citizens who are defaulters of loans have been offered a relief by the Central Bank of Kenya following those pledges that were given by President William Ruto. The Central Bank of Kenya is now giving directives to commercial banks, mobile digital lenders, and others who have offered mobile loans. One, to it is not slash. It's not a request. It is an order that they will have to slash at least, not up to, at least 50% of those loans which have been defaulted. So kama umekuwa CRB, na umekuwa CRB up to October of this year actually, the president has allowed you to allow your 50%. So you'll be getting a communication in the next few days from whatever lender gave you that money and listed you on CRB. Wakate your loan 50%, alafu they allow you to repay the other 50% and also give you a repayment plan to correct that, and also give you a credit repair framework is how they're framing it. Is this the best way? Will Kenyans be compliant, or are they going to default even further? Kama mtu ametolewa CRB na alikuwa na 1000 bob, right? Na ametolewa 500 bob. Mambo toa 500 bob in the next 6 months, and now they've been lifted out of CRB, they can be able to get more loans. Do you think they will be repaying this 500 bob, or they will be getting 2000 bob more now that they are off the CRB?
Well, I think they'll borrow again so that the government, so that the president can come in. Well, I think from my view, what about these corporates? How are they going to repay themselves? You see, they're going at a, okay, one, they have been in a loss since one Wanyama or one Otino failed to pay their debts. So they're in a loss. So two, the government comes in and says that they should be paid 50% of what they had not been paid. They already don't have it.
Right.
So I really do. Okay, it's a relief to this defaulter,
but it's not a relief to the
corporates. Yeah, right. It's not a relief to them.
Right. And of course, we remember that in 2019, 2020 is when the Central Bank of Kenya scrapped those charges of transfer of money from banks to M-Pesa. So they've also been losing that kind of revenue, and now they're going to lose 50% of those loans that are totaling up to 30 billion Kenyan shillings. So I call out to you, ukitolewa CRB, usienda kuchukua loan nyingine tena. Now focus.
Lipa tu hiyo.
Right? Lipa hiyo na to focus tuende mbele. Finally, mzee, I know that we will go on and on. It's 8:28 in the morning. So many stories here on the dailies, and we can't go through all them. So if you have been viewing this and you're also reading the papers, tutaendelea kuongea on the social channels at KUTV Kenya. Give me your thoughts. But finally, to close it up, we have to go to a bit of sport. The hottest story in sports business that has happened in the past few days, apart from us expecting the World Cup, is Cristiano Ronaldo. Coming out, of course, to speak against his
betrayal.
Should I call it a former club or current club? Because he's still in there, right? And he's been fined 1 million pounds by the Manchester United management for doing this kind of interview, which is actually a scratch on the surface of what he earns. He earns 500,000 in a week. So in 2 weeks atakuwa shalipa hiyo mita yao. Must be nice to be him. However, do you think his concerns are valid? Anasema someone is trying to push him out, is being betrayed by Manchester United, and that a couple of players, including his coach, is disrespecting.
Yeah. I even saw him saying that, how do you expect me to score in a field that Pogba planted buried a hyena?
No, those are jokes. Those are jokes which are being peddled by fans online. Of course, there's that allegation that Pogba is being involved in witchcraft, an allegation made by his own brother. However, that's something that's happening there on the sidelines. Well, how best should Manchester handle that?
I think, well, it was not right of Cristiano Ronaldo to go on air and make these allegations or make this statement on his own club. I mean, he should, okay, being that he's an icon and most young players look after him, I think he should have seeked another way of maybe just talking to this to Eric Ten Hag and make it look like solve the problem in a more
internally.
Yeah, internally, a more better way before exposing. It's just like Lukaku the other time when he exposed to
Chelsea. Again, Chelsea.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
Cristiano Ronaldo. If where you're working at right now, pale at the debate club, our kuskizi, pale kitchen, the technology, according to Ronaldo, technology iko nje. Wanna star anyway. So many problems in the Manchester United management. How should they have handled it as we close it up now?
I think Manchester United is a bigger club and it has a board of management. I think that should have been the way. Maybe if it never worked, then it tries to be.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right. There's a quote there at the business daily at the back where we always finish at, and then get to back to matters of Biashara Tuesday. Some your quote mzee as we wrap up.
Modifying one's own thoughts and that of others seems to me to be the intellectual's reason for being. That's by Mikel.
Let's take it again slowly.
Modifying one's own thoughts and that of others seems to me to be the intellectual's reason for being.
All right. Think about it, and then we'll be back with more on Biashara Tuesday. That is Mikel Barassa, who is a member of the Debate Society here in Kenyatta University. Call him up. Alafu, you get to know what he has understood on emerging trends, which are some of those things they get to discuss there